Are you okay? Breathe, sweetie.
It started with 6 grand mal seizures, or tonic-clonics. It had been a while since having any of those. Enduring each of these was extremely treacherous, and yet also going back in time to a moment I had actually been before. I remembered this, in which there would be mandatory jerking motions by my entire head and neck, always twisting eventually all the way to the right, as far as humanly breathable possible. Each felt like paralysis, and I had to stay like that each time and ride it out until the seizure was done. I didn't yet know by night's end I would end up in the hospital, yet knew that with us living just blocks away, the ambulance could be here before midnight. I was taken to ZSFG hospital that evening in what apparently was an extremely overbooked situation that I was unaware of at that moment. I had thought it was already midnight when the ambulance arrived, when it was probably closer to 6 p.m. and just very dark. I am sure I entered certain magnetic scanning devices that evening. By then, I couldn't speak well at all for the first 2 to 3 days at least. My partner was kept out of the building for nearly 48 hours due to reasons for which I am still unaware. There surely were hospital visitation protocols and COVID-19 procedures being followed to a T. Regardless of what floor I was located, I remained in the ER the entire time. Before they seemed to know what they were doing, there was plenty of poking and prodding on both regions of my belt. I didn't get to control my restroom usage for nearly my entire time there. I must move past this topic because I simply need to. Let's just say I am very grateful to know certain folks, as I am certain it helped expedite the speed to my recovery at the hospital and focus what was going on with my eventual care team. I learned after the fact that the odd soft helmet device that was applied to my head really was an EEG for maybe 36 hours. For whatever reason, probably a good one, I had left my phone at home upon entering the ambulance, yet my journey to the hospital made me a bit of a celebrity. My father traveled up as well, and he stayed at my house for about a week. I was asked over the many days I was there what my location was for this hospital, it being SF General, within walking distance from home. However, the responses I gave, when decent, ranged from Monterey to Los Angeles, some certainly even out of California. When asked several times throughout to write my own name, I sincerely gave it my all. Only on the last day could I even be able to write in cursive again, as well as mention hippocampus. Do I know what caused these? I have a pretty good idea what caused this situation to arise, which was a series of drinks throughout the day prior to when they all occurred. It's a long story that unfortunately is something only each person can seem to control by themselves, whether they beat their chest much in a wine o'clock world. I personally now have taken the reins and been entirely sober for nearly 3 months as of this recording, and I'm just getting started. I find it different by case-to-case basis in requesting availability for zero-proof mocktails, etc., etc. Some might go full throttle, whereas others might have maybe just a Heineken Zero, better than nothing, and others could limit to just cola, lemonade, coffee, or maybe not much anything. I generally like places best that can even provide wine alternatives. The bigger ultimate cause may have been a lifelong thing since childhood, really dating back all the way to a Hawaiian vacation, a family funeral, and tons of mosquito bites along the way. Those mosquito bites back in the 5th grade are why I still have epileptic issues to this day. There might actually be modified methods released to the public by bioscientists with genetic engineering. The ethical debate just remains at large. My neurologist at UCSF Parnassus has already given me the okay to go traveling internationally again, so long as I have a Zoom follow-up this coming spring, those mandatory conditional head jerks, and the specific ear ringing were all of great concern. My new medications, also adjusted upon seeing my neurologist last December, are as follows. Oxcarbazepine, that's a new one. It's probably also the one that may or may not be correlated with the ear ringing. Levetiracetam, also known as Keppra. Topiramate, better known as Topamax. And then another new one, which is more for emergencies only. It's an emergency nasal spray called Nasalam. And I got to bring the emergency nasal spray with me on a recent plane trip, which is great. Never needed it, but it's great. Tend to have 2 pills at once, whether I'm having them with water or coffee. Kind of makes them go down a little bit quicker. We have 2, 1.5, and 1. The one that I have that's a half pill, it's easy enough to split them in 2 because they're scored. And I keep a record of all this because I do it twice daily. So for this, I basically get to keep track of the daily basis of twice a day taking the meds in the morning and evening. I've kind of determined when I want to take them. I do it around 9:30 a.m. and p.m., but I could determine any time I want to. I did it a little bit later because of this recording, but anyhow. There's my upside down check mark. I know I've described the tonic-clonic grand mals a bit, but haven't described what visual auras are, which I actually go through a lot more the day after, which are things that I cannot feel at all, to kind of represent kind of what they look like. It's more or less kind of like a spinning beach ball. I don't want to have to say spinning beach ball of death, but some people have used that term. But it kind of like blinks on and off until, if you're not so lucky, it actually stays. And then once it finalizes as that spot that's kind of like just to the side of the central spot in your vision, because it's never going to be in the central spot, like whether you're open or closed with your eyeballs, like you can be like blinked and you're still going to see it. It's very weird. Then it's going to expand in its weird blobbish shape for maybe about 15-20 minutes or so, and you cannot feel it at all. But that spinny beach ball, very colorful shape I was describing for you, that remains at the perimeter, and then whatever this blob-esque shape becomes, you cannot really see what is inside of it, but it's not what you can see within it, but exterior is still normal. It is one of the strangest experiences. If you are not an epileptic, I wish I could describe it for you. Only the exterior perimeter has that kind of ever-going color perimeter, and then within it, it's this strange kind of gray-esque blob. I mean, I wish I would say something more than that, but it's not this colorful. I almost want to say it would be rainbow on the outside, but it's not. It's a strange thing, but you cannot look at it. At least for me. It could be different for the thousands and thousands, maybe millions of people that experience this. Sometimes I only have one of these, and then sometimes I'll get multiple of these once mine dissipates, but I cannot feel it. It's very strange. One college grand mal seizure memory I have is waking up in the midst of a parking lot, already with the ambulance in front of me. I was on different medication at the time, but what I mainly recall then for that scenario was I still have no idea who helped bring the ambulance forward. So it's remembering a thanks to an unknown. At least there was a new way I got to start watching Season 2 of The White Lotus. I still didn't get to see all of Episode 1, which this all happened in the midst of. I feel safe enough now to give it and Jennifer Coolidge a retry. So, where do we go from here? My irritability has increased tenfold. It may be in part due to dehydration, which didn't help with recent traveling temperatures. My water bottle exists. I'm supposed to get back on drinking the entire thing 1 to 2 times per day with just water. I also do feel by being on so many daily pills multiple times per day, I need to be slower in response time in result. I cannot wait to start having any medications removed so that I can become quicker, wittier, and happier. That ear ringing, for the most part, did seem to subside. Hoping it was just a coincidence. That whole right side, though, with the twisting, the twitching, the jerking of the neck, I'm wondering if it was not just a coincidence, though. There still must be gracious corporations and organizations that are far bigger than yours truly, trying to do good about ameliorating these issues at large. And so, in no particular order, they are cureepilepsy.org and cureepilepsy.org/get-involved/donate. They're a nonprofit that has donated more than $90 million. Then there's epilepsynorcal.org with a 501c3 tax-deductible donate link. Then there's AmericanBrainFoundation.org/diseases/epilepsy and AmericanBrainFoundation.org/living-with-epilepsy. There's some good informative resources on this topic. Then, stepping out of that topic entirely, but still in this zone, there's WCK.org and WCK.org/relief/activation chefs for Ukraine. It's simply an awesome website in this time of need via Chef Jose Andres. If you know anything about him, my goodness gracious, he is one of the best people on the whole planet. Lastly, there is UNICEFUSA.org and a much more specific long site that you can click on by me. It's from the United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund, and they have an important emergency donations form for assisting children of Syria for the large earthquakes that just rocked the globe. Thank you again to anybody and everybody that's helped get me through this, my partner Tom included, especially, and there are lots of nameless names that I can thank without providing the name for obvious reasons, but anyhow, you are known. So now, to wrap things up, I'm just really, really hoping that I'll be able to visit that public park that exists up at the top there of SF General. it really looks like I got to honor my wish of getting to walk up to the top of this public park at ZSF General Hospital. So I am eternally grateful to all who helped make that happen. That includes all the doctors, nurses, medical staff, and unsung heroes that were involved in this journey with me. Now, I'm basically going to visually explore and try to see if I can see my own house from up here. Bye for now. Bye for now.
Excellent.
All right, that's good.
You see the folder though.